morning. You're listening to Insurance Matchmaking, your path to health, life, and Medicare coverage with Matt Libby Insurance. And now, sharing his knowledge, here's your host, Matt Libby.
Good morning. Welcome to another episode of Insurance Matchmaking. I'm no guest again today, but hopefully I won't bore y'all too much. I hope you don't close off as soon as I say that. I was looking something up before we got started here, and it's not. So anyway, I might have to come back to that or pick it up on the break. But as I mentioned, it's just me today, and a couple things I wanted to address, and maybe make another YouTube on it too. Also, a lot of times I'll have people call the office with a question, and it's because my name's on the business. They think they have to talk to me. Everybody in my office is actually licensed agents, so a lot of times if one of the young ladies answers the phone, they could probably answer your question. The other thing is, sometimes even if it's something that I need to answer, it's really helpful if I know what you're calling in about, because a lot of times I maybe need to look something up, or I need to get some other things together to be able to give you the answer. And if I just take the call, I don't have some of that stuff right in front of me. Sometimes I need to get into the folder we have with your information in the file cabinet. Sometimes it's things I have online, or sometimes it's just looking something up online in relation to your plan. That's to be able to look that up. So that's one of the things I wanted to make sure I address that. Hey, when you're calling in, if it's personal, of course, sometimes you do need to talk to me, and it's not something that my other agents need to be aware of. But if it's a general question, or you're asking about a deductible or something like that, a lot of times they can look up the answer and get it to you also. So if you tell them why you're calling, instead of just asking me to call back, because my schedule's a little different. A lot of days I'm in the office all day, but then like today I'm recording the radio, so there's time that I'm not here. I'm also involved in my veterans organization, so once a month I have a meeting. And this week it went about 2.5 hours because I had a second committee meeting after the board meeting. So there's times that I'm not going to be in the office, and coming up I'm going to be out of town for close to 2 weeks, and so getting an answer back from me during that time may take a little longer, or I may have to end up asking them to do the research so that I can call you back and give you the information, because they had to look it up because I was driving. So put them to work. They generally, a lot of times, will have the right answer. And a lot of times, so I asked this question, but I wanted to ask you before I replied to them. And they're able to come back, and most of the time they're right. So they're pretty good. So anyway, that's my rant today. And then I want to do, I'll cover that after the break. But one of the things that we're doing, we had a workshop here recently, Danielle Rolfs, which was one of my recent guests, and we did a 2-part recording on that. That one's probably going to air a little bit later. I think I'm going to air this episode before that, because some of the things I want to talk about right now is one of the things I was able to do. You've heard me talk about, we moved our office. We've got a larger space now. We've got a really nice area set up where we can do trainings. We can put things up on a big screen TV to do kind of like the workshops I do at the library and that. But I want to do some more of those things at my office. Now, the Medicare 101 works great, and at doing it at the library, because it's neutral ground. A lot of people maybe would avoid coming to my office for a Medicare 101 because they just feel they're just going to be pressured to buy something right then and there, and that's not how we do the Medicare 101. Now, I am looking to do some of the Medicare 101 workshops at my office. Those will still be strictly educational. They will be open to the public. We can put, post event on Facebook or something like that, and those will still be a neutral, we are unbiased. We're not going to tell you you've got to get a Medicare Advantage, or you really have to get, a Plan G, or you really need to go with this company, or you need to go with. None of that's going to happen. And even if I did it at the office, it's still going to be the same, just like I do at the library. It's going to be the same format, the same presentation, just the convenience of being able to do it at my office. I don't have to schedule it with somebody else for the facility, and I don't have to pack things up and drive to do it. I can just do it right there at my office. So I'm hoping that's going to make things a little more efficient. But along that vein is I want to do some other classes or informational sessions that go in depth. One of the things I don't do in my Medicare 101, because it can be very confusing and it changes every year, which Medicare does too. That's one of the reasons why we do these as a routine basis. But that Part D coverage gap, infamously also known as the donut hole, we briefly address it and say, if you got questions about that, we can talk about that at a later time. I'm thinking about doing maybe a session that's just on that. And we could take, 15, 20 minutes just going over how that coverage system works with your Part D coverage. And as I've mentioned on here before, it's your Part D coverage. It doesn't matter whether that Part D coverage is included in your Medicare Advantage plan, or it's your standalone Part D plan because you have that Medicare Supplement or Medigap plan in, Plan G, Plan F, and then you have a separate prescription drug plan. The coverage gap applies the same between those two. There are some slight differences in how some of the costs are presented to you based on the insurance company, whether they have deductibles or how much that deductible is and what tiers those drugs are on. Sometimes those will vary between a standalone drug plan and that Medicare Advantage plan, but the government portion of it, the regular rules on it, those are going to be the same. And it can be kind of confusing. Got a really good slide that was presented. I had one that was from an insurance company I was using that I liked, and then stole one from somebody else this year. That's one of the things, us insurance thieves, insurance agents, we are thieves. We do steal each other's ideas and don't always give credit to whoever was. But I'm first one to say, hey, I didn't develop this, but it's a great illustration, so I'm using it. And most of the time, it's out there. So I can't remember exactly which the current one I'm in. I think it may still be from an insurance company, but it's an easy slide to understand and has the key points, so I can explain how that coverage gap works. It's changed a little bit because of the Inflation Reduction Act, which has changed how that coverage gap comes about. And one of the nice things on it, we had what was called the catastrophic level, where you still were going to pay 5% for those $1,000 prescriptions, and I say thousands of dollars, some of them. You still were having to pay 5% of the costs, which could still be hundreds of dollars a month. That went away this year. And in this coming year, there's going to be a cap on your out-of-pocket cost, actually fixed cap. Still not exactly how that's going to look and how that's going to reflect, but it's basically what we call the donut hole with that cap is literally going to go away. It's just going to be, you're going to have a large expense and then it's going to be capped. Now, in fact, this year, some of the drug companies, if you've experienced that coverage gap, also known as donut hole, you're familiar with, hey, you had to pay 25% of your costs when you're in that situation. Some of the companies went ahead and moved instead of having a fixed copay for those tier 3 or even the lower tiers, some of the plans, you have a deductible and then you're paying 25% of the cost. That's the way they were doing it. And they've done that kind of as a way, because they're eating a lot of the costs once you pass through that and you go into that coverage gap. They're eating some of that. They're having to eat some of that cost, so they're having you pay a little bit more in the beginning. So in how they're going to address that in 2025 when there's a flat cap, we're not sure exactly. We're expecting to see rate increases. There's already one company that has elected to leave the prescription drug market. And that's public knowledge, so I am going to name names here, but Mutual of Omaha has a drug plan. I've got a few clients that do have that drug plan. They're not renewing that for 2025. So fortunately, I don't have a lot of clients on that plan, so it's not going to be a big disruption on my end. But anybody has that plan, they're going to need a new plan. Now, I've also read that they're going to be set up to where they're automatically be moved to a comparable plan, but sometimes the insurance company's idea of a comparable plan isn't necessarily the right plan for you to move to. And the reason that is, the plan may be very similar, but again, based on the formulary, certain prescriptions may not be covered or covered by that plan or covered well by that plan, and they're just looking at this plan is the one that's most similar to our plan, so that's the one we're going to move everybody to automatically. So that's not going to be the right fix for everybody. So again, if it's not me, contact your local agent. I posted a little meme on my personal Facebook yesterday. Of course, yesterday as I'm recording this. It is just, young lady with a telephone headset on and says, I work in a call center. I don't care if it's the right plan for you because I'm never going to talk to you again. And so I posted, and the thing is, and it was framed in she was the call center employee of the month. And that's like just kind of that, hey, remember, work with a local agent. And I've said before, I don't care. I'd like it to be me, but if it's not me, at least talk to somebody local. We know the markets. We're there. We have to take care of you because you can show up at our door and say, you messed up, you put me on the wrong plan, and we got to try to fix that. That call center, you can call the 800 number. You're never, we say never. I mean, but the chances of you talking to the same person twice is very, very slim. And their whole thing is going to be trying to get you off the phone. That's why a lot of times people will call in, got questions about Medicare, and they'll call one of those because they see the commercial. Oh, they can answer my question. They're salespeople. Their job is there is to sell you something. If you're not ready to buy right then, they're doing everything they can to get you off the phone as quickly as they can. And technically, usually in those type of call centers, they're not allowed to hang up on you. So they've got to try to irritate you enough to hang up in those situations. So work with a local agent. We don't charge. I think that's a lot of times it's a misconception that people think they're calling us is going to cost them money to get our advice. There's no charge for that. There is no charge for our services. We get paid by the insurance company. And the other thing I always want to reiterate that because sometimes we'll work with somebody, help them get set up, and then they call the insurance company and get signed up directly through them. You don't save any money doing it that way either. And again, what you don't have is you do not have a local agent to help you. If I did not enroll you in your plan, I cannot act on your behalf. I can answer some of the questions, but I can't call the insurance company and get answers for things or, and it's simple as requesting them to send you a new ID card. If I'm not your agent, I can't do that. In some companies, they won't even let me do it as an agent. We have to tell people that if you want a duplicate card, you'll have to call customer service. They won't let us do that for you. It's a little irritating, but it does happen. But most of the time, we will call that insurance company, try to get those answers, and a lot of times we have the answer for you before even calling them. So that's something we can help you with. So anyway, it looks like we're coming up on the break. I've rambled on enough to cover the first segment here, and then we'll go on break, and I'm going to look something up real quick during the break that I meant to mention earlier and address that, and then talk about some of the things that I've got planned for the office.
Looking to spruce up your home without breaking the bank? Visit Habitat Restore for incredible deals on furniture, appliances, home decor, and more. Plus, when you shop at Habitat Restore, you're not just getting great deals, you're also supporting your local community. Are you looking to make a meaningful impact? Consider donating to Habitat Restore. Your generosity can make a world of difference. Habitat Restore, open Tuesday through Saturday, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m., and located at 560 South Jefferson Avenue in Cookeville.
Hi, this is Marvin Long, your local Twin Lakes Business Solutions consultant. At Twin Lakes, we understand that every business is unique, which is why we offer customized solutions designed specifically for your needs. Enjoy lightning-fast internet speeds up to 10 gig, along with HD TV and reliable phone systems, all backed by our 24/7 customer service. Let Twin Lakes support your business with the connectivity it deserves. Call us today at 1-800-644-8582 or visit twinlakes.net.
And now, back to Insurance Matchmaking with Matt Libby Insurance.
All right, welcome back to Insurance Matchmaking. I did look up on the break the number I was discussing, and I realized I was actually watching somebody else's YouTube yesterday and said, oops, I think I misspoke the other day. And I did. I was talking about the maximum out-of-pocket on the Medicare Advantage plans, and I mentioned how that max out-of-pocket can be $8,300. Those are 2023 numbers. I don't know what I was thinking, but the 2024 numbers is $8,850. $8,850 is what the maximum out of pocket for your health care can be on your Medicare Advantage plan. And I stress health care because it has nothing to do with your drug coverage. It's just your health coverage. And also, but what the guy mentioned on this YouTube that I was watching, and I even mention it too when I'm talking during my Medicare 101 workshops, is that's not the typical max out of pocket. Right now, I think we're at like $4,600 on average. The average max out of pocket's actually been going down the last few years, even though the government allowance has gone up. So the plans are very competitive. Now, again, as I mentioned in the first segment, in 2025, not sure what those numbers are going to look like. And of course, that max out of pocket is going to be probably over $9,000. And some of the plans go to that high. And a lot of times what they do is on the PPO, so ones where you have a little bit more freedom of what doctors you can see and still be covered under your plan because they don't have to be in network on the PPO. Those PPOs usually will have two sets of max out of pockets. One is if you do everything in network, you hit a maximum out of pocket for your in-network care, and you don't pay anything else for your health care the rest of the year. They pay 100%. But even if you've hit that number and then you do something that's out of network, you're still going to have costs because you haven't hit the out of network costs, which usually can be higher than that number that I gave you. I said $8,850. They've been over $9,000-$10,000 the last few years on the P. That's just the in-network max out of pocket, so that can be a little higher. So I mentioned in the first part, I'm looking at doing some workshops at the office, and start doing those on a regular basis. We're still discussing if we want to try to do something every week, every other week, and also looked out of doing something, of maybe twice a week during the summer. We'll call it summer school, and then because when we get in the fall, we're so busy with enrollment times that having people coming into the office for classes when we're probably busy working with clients, getting them enrolled for the next year, that's not going to be very conducive to efficiency in the office. So that's why it might make sense to try to do some extra trainings, or information sessions in the summer, and then in the fall we're just not going to have the time to do those. So that's the scheduling's still up in the air. We're still trying to come up with maybe a name for it. We've done lunch and learns, but they don't always have to be a lunch and learn. It could just be it could be 10 o'clock in the morning. It could be a 3 o'clock in the afternoon, or it even could be an after hours thing. Basically, what I'm looking to do is to have these things scheduled and have the class set up, and I've got my schedule blocked out, that I'm not taking any appointments, that I know I'm going to be in office to do that session. But if nobody shows up for the meeting, I'm at my office. I didn't have to go anywhere, so I can continue working. So I may have some more stuff scheduled, but it doesn't mean it's going to interrupt my workflow that much, because if somebody doesn't come for that session, or maybe if it's just one couple comes in, I can do that presentation in my office on a display I have in my office, and again not disrupt the workflow in the office with doing a training at the same time. So those are some things we can do. And part of what I want to ask you folks that are listening is, what are some things you'd like me to cover? I talk almost every week. Hey, go to insurancematchmaking.com. There's a block there where it says, ask a question for me to answer on the radio, or suggest a guest for my show, or, that's also a good place you could put in and say, hey, and I'm just using an example. I want to know more about that donut hole thing. Can you do something, can you do an information session on that? Yes, that's one of the things we're looking at doing. Maybe talking about why, if you have a Medicare Advantage, that's maybe still not enough. I try to address that with people. But again, I may set up a training. I may just do a YouTube on it. I don't know. May do both. But, I talk about cancer cover, cancer plans, hospital indemnity plans, things that reimburse those big expenses. I just, talked about that max out of pocket on the Medicare Advantage plans. Most people do not hit that max out of pocket. In fact, actually, I wish I had written down the number of the guy, because he gave the data on the percentage of people that ever hit I think it was like less than 25% of the people on Medicare Advantage plans, and 25 just seems to be ever hit the max out of pocket. Not that they hit it every year, but it's less than 25% in the lifetime of the people having Medicare Advantage plans hit that maximum out of pocket. Now, it can happen more than 1 year, but generally most people hit it. It's going to be, they have a bad year. Unfortunately, cancer is one of those things that you can have a bad couple years, because Medicare Advantage plans, you're going to pay 20% for those treatments. The chemo and radiation, those are outpatient procedures that they charge. 20% of the cost is what you pay for those treatments. That can run, into a lot of money, and generally it's going to happen in more than 1 year. So you could hit that maximum out of pocket on that Advantage plan in a couple years. The opposite on that is people look at how much does Medicare supplement cost. You're paying in advance to not have those big bills, but you're paying every month for that. So you can kind of weigh those different costs of, well, if I hit that max out of pocket and divide that by the number of years based on paying so much per month for Medicare supplement, did I save money going on the supplement or doing the Advantage? So there's different reasons to do that. The other thing that I really want to do, and maybe again this is where those post some questions, is I'm going to do a class, and I'm going to call it Medicare 201. Which that's you think college, Medicare 101, that's an entry level class. Well, Medicare 201 is going to be more of this is kind of what I cover when I sit down with a couple or an individual to talk about their Medicare options after I've already, they've been to a Medicare 101 and they liked what I had to say, and they think, I think this guy can help me get the right plan. Well, then when you come to my office, I start talking about why I'm recommending this plan or that plan, or why I think a Medicare supplement or I think a Medicare Advantage is going to suit you better. The other thing is, one of the things, definitely don't do in an informational, I'm going to name names. There's going to be reasons. I'm going to tell people reasons why I recommend this company over that company, or why just because a company's a household name that it might not be your best choice for a Medicare supplement. I'll name names there. I'm not going to do it here in the public forum, but those are going to be by, kind of almost like by invitation only, but not exactly. But we do ask people to register for these classes. We are limited on space. If I set up tables and you're sitting at a table, I could do 6 to maybe 10 seated in viewing the screen, versus I can have at least 12 with chairs in front of the screen. I have a nice TV mounted on the wall, gives us room to have kind of a classroom setting, but the desk will take tables will take up a little more space. We won't have room for the chairs. So those are the things I can do at the office and makes it convenient. The other thing is, I had Danielle on here recently, and she did a briefing at my office. We're looking at maybe doing one that's going to be remote, where she doesn't have to drive down from St. Louis to do it, but still give the same presentation using a Zoom or Google Meet or some kind of streaming program, but we'll also have it set up that people can come to the office, and we'll be doing it on together there. So you can watch it from home, or you can come to the office and watch it. But I can have my subject matter expert presenting and not have her have to travel to do it. So those are some options. It makes it a little easier. This last time we did a lunch and learn. Some of the people, the daytime didn't work, but they maybe could have come that evening, but she had to be in Nashville that afternoon to meet with somebody else. So some of those things that we can do, we can do 2 in a day. We can do something that's, we can do a 2 in the afternoon and a 6 p.m., or we can do a 10 o'clock and 2 o'clock. It doesn't matter. We can kind of vary that, and still do them in the same day, or do one evening and in the morning the next day. And it'd be the same presentation, or, it's like, oh, I really like that, or I watched that. Now I need my spouse to watch it too. We're going to get in on the one in the morning on the next day. So it gets that, you're just to hear it twice and like, I think I missed a lot that first time. I'm going to listen to this again. So those are some things we can do. And then also working on getting some more, YouTube stuff out there. This radio show, you may be listening to this on a YouTube versus just listening to it live on the radio. So, or if you're listening to the radio and you think, I wish I had caught the first part of the show. A week or two after the show, it will be on YouTube because I get the audio recordings, and then my webmaster turns those into a YouTube, and we post them on the website, and you can search them on YouTube. So we do ask, hey, if you listen to the YouTube, please subscribe. You're not going to get bombarded. When you subscribe to YouTube, you don't get bombarded by emails and everything like that. But it helps our listenership because it boosts that, YouTube sees, hey, there's other people listening to this. It'll show up sometimes in random feeds as we get more subscribers. I'm nowhere near that yet, but that's why I'm asking you, please, some of the people when they do YouTubes, they'll say, make sure you, what do they say, smash the like button and subscribe and click the notifications that whenever we post a new one, you'll get a notification. That's about as intrusive as it gets if you subscribe to a YouTube. So we ask for that. We ask for your help on that so we can get the word out. Hopefully, I give some valuable information during these sessions, especially when I have guests. I love having guests on. Some people are a little intimidated. I don't know if I want to be on the radio. Half the time I forget I'm on the radio. I'm just talking, and it's a lot easier when there's somebody else here. I'm talking to that person and we're just sharing our conversation versus when it's just me here. I've got to think of the things to say to you, the listener, and not bore you to tears and be able to try to hold your interest. So, love to have guests. As I've mentioned before, as a veteran, I love to have anybody who does anything with the veteran community, but it doesn't have to be. If you have a nonprofit that you really want to get the word out and you're passionate about it, check with me. Be on the show. I'll figure a way to tie it into insurance. Maybe you're sponsoring a 5K for your nonprofit. Well, guess what? People twist their ankles on those 5Ks. I could talk about accident insurance and say, hey, before you do that 5K, you might want to get this accident insurance in case you trip and fall and don't make it to the finish line. So I could turn anything into insurance. But also, not sure exactly what date we're going to air this. So this could be after the fact. But we are having our ribbon cutting at our new office. We got the new signs up now, so it's time to kind of show off the new digs. Plus, it's a little warmer in May than it was in February when we moved in. So we're going to have a ribbon cutting and open house. It's going to be a client appreciation day. So the ribbon cutting will only last a few minutes, but from 10 to 2 on May 17th, which is a Friday, we're going to have our ribbon cutting and open house. So we're asking folks, come on out, join us celebrating, be in the picture. You heard Teresa on a recent show with her Gathered Ministries, and she's working on getting her food truck trailer coffee shop launched, and we're hoping to have that here. Don't know, it's not official yet whether it's ready to come that week, but if she's able, we're going to have the coffee there, and they're going to do like specialty coffees, not just drip coffee. You can't get everything, but they're going to have some lattes or iced coffees anyway, and teas, or if you just want a bottle of water, I guess I'll have that too. And that's going to be free of charge, and that's what she's doing. Doing her ministry on that is they're sharing the love, sharing the coffee. They'll, of course, will take donations, but you're not going to be charged for anything to get a cup of coffee out of that trailer. So hopefully we'll have that at our ribbon cutting open house on May 17th. So looks like I'm running out of time here, so don't forget insurancematchmaking.com. Like and subscribe on YouTube, and we'll see you on the radio.
You've been listening to Insurance Matchmaking with Matt Libby, your path to health, life, and Medicare coverage with Matt Libby Insurance.